Two nerds went to college and found each other in the English department basement and became instant friends. 8 years and 3 degrees later, they're reunited. You're listening to Book Club, the movie, the podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Book Club, the movie, the podcast, where we read, watch, and discuss books and their film adaptations. I'm your host, Jen.
And I'm your other host, Em.
We hope you read the book.
But if you didn't, here's the summary.
It is 1986. Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded. The Iran-Contra affair was exposed to the world. Top Gun was released in theaters, and Winston Groom published Forrest Gump, though it would not become a bestseller until the movie came out in 1994. Much like the movie, the book is told through first-person narration by Forrest himself. He describes his life in a series of events, some of which made it into the movie, including playing ping pong and football, Vietnam, and striking it rich with a shrimp business. Unlike the movie, Forrest worked as a folk musician, an astronaut, chess champion, professional wrestler, swamp thing, and eventually a busker. All the while, he is in love with Jenny and tries his best to do the right thing, but cannot stop screwing it up.
So I actually think that they did a good job of adapting the narrative style. The book is it's all written first person from Forrest Gump's perspective, although it's every sentence starts with I pretty much, right? It's not like the kind of first person where it's like I'm telling the story, but then I'm going to give you a paragraph of exposition to set the scene or whatever. It's very conversational. It's a monologue. I think the novel is written as a monologue. And the way that they adapted that into the movie, I think is really interesting because we do have like a voiceover thread going throughout the movie with Tom Hanks playing Forrest Gump narrating. And it's, narrating our transitions from thing to thing, right? But then we always get these scenes, we get these breaks where we come back to the place where he is. So for most of the story present or whatever, he's sitting on a bus bench in Savannah, Georgia, waiting for bus number 9 to come so that he can get a ride to Jenny's apartment to see her, and he's just like rambling on and on to anyone who's sitting at the bus stop about his life story, which only ends up being about, I think, like 3 or 4 people total throughout the movie.
There was the nurse lady
with the nice shoes, and you can always tell
and her feet were hurting because she just got off work.
Yeah,
and then there was the mother and her kid,
right?
And then it was the old man who then laughed his ass off because he didn't realize who he was sitting next to.
Right.
And then it was the elderly woman who then said, yeah, and then sweet old lady who's like, you don't even need a bus.
Right. She's like, it's like 5 or 6 blocks that way. And he's like, what? Thanks. I gotta go. And then he just he does this little weird run thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's gone. Anyway, so I think that was like a really clever way to make it a monologue, but make it more interesting. Because I think if they had done like an exact adaptation of the book, it would just be like, a split screen anytime there was another scene. And it's like we would get Forrest Gump on the bench and then we would get like the war, right? Because it's all through and he would just be narrating it all. It'd be like a really long episode of like Drunk History, right? Like that's what I feel like the book would translate to.
I was going to say it would be like a really long episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that I'm content with how they decided to adapt the narrative style because it feels inspired by the monologue form, but not necessarily like fully beholden to it. So,
Yeah.
I think it works. I think it works.
Mhm.
So, let's talk about the yellow elephant in the room, Emily.
There's so much pee in the book. There's so much pee. I believe in the movie, I think he only says it once, right? And it's to the president.
What,
He
after
says,
he's had the 15 Dr. Peppers or whatever?
yes, he drank 15 Dr. Peppers, and then the president asks him, like, how do you feel? And he says, I gotta pee. And he's like, oh, I think he has to pee. And it's like, great, cool. Anyway, I went through, and I mean, I have a post-it note on every single page where it happens. There's like 17 times fully, like throughout the book, he says something about pee, needing to pee, or the orangutan peeing. There's just piss everywhere. It's just a whole piss party. And even on one page of the 17, 8 of them is just from whenever, spoiler alert, he runs for Senate, because that makes sense. And he's in an auditorium, and he's answering questions, and they ask him something, like, what's the most pressing issue at the moment, and he doesn't know what to say, so he says, I gotta pee. And then the whole auditorium, because they love that, and I mean, I think if I had read this in 2015, and I would have been like, oh, that's stupid, a crowd would never, but nowadays I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. The whole auditorium starts chanting, we got to pee, we got to pee. And it becomes, the campaign slogan. And even his
Opponent.
competitor,
Yeah.
his opponent then adopts a new
I gotta pee too.
a new one too. Yeah, I gotta pee too. It's ridiculous. And then at one point, whenever he's acting as the creature from the Blue Lagoon, he just pees in this rubber suit and
Yeah.
onto Raquel Welch, basically. So he's just pee
No,
everywhere,
it was
constantly.
before he was holding her. It was while he was having a break in the water. That he peed, and then he didn't realize it wouldn't run out his leg because it's a rubber suit, and so it kind of just whatever hung out there. And she's like, "Oh my god, did you pee? It smells like pee. I didn't pee. Did you pee?" Yeah,
Poor Raquel Welch. I wonder how she felt about
being portrayed in the
this
book.
Yeah, I wonder if she even knew.
She probably
I
thought it was
doubt she did, because
stupid. Somebody
I don't
had
know.
to have told her.
Somebody had to have been like, hey, this guy wrote a book about you getting peed on.
She didn't get peed on. It wasn't like a golden shower. It's just he peed in his rubber suit and then had to pick her up, and that was part of his job. Like, that was his role. So, and it's a misunderstanding. He didn't pee on her. So, but yeah, I just feel like it's okay. I have two thoughts about this. One, I feel like Winston Groom took a cheap shot. It's like every time where we could have gotten deeper, or he could have said something meaningful in the book, instead it's like, I gotta pee, is what he said. So it feels really cheap to me, narratively, writing wise. I'm like, come on, dude, do better. And the second thing is, like, I feel like I had this, my AP world history teacher in high school. I don't know why, but one time in class, he was just like, it's every man's dream to like find a cliff and pee off of it. Like, that's the best feeling in the world. It's like something I just remember very clearly. I don't remember the context of that comment. I'm sure it was in context. This teacher, I'm not going to say his name, but he was beloved by all, and he was a great teacher, and goofy, and had like frequent conversations with this robot on the internet that he'd share with us. It was goofy. Anyway, he's a funny guy. But that was something that I was like, really? Like, that's the epitome of like the male desire goals, just to pee off the side of a cliff, and like having that feeling. And I'm like, so anyway, so I just feel like Winston Groom's like, I gotta pee. Like, that's the thing.
I mean, I have another supportive anecdote. to offer on the subject of men going pee.
Please do.
So at a restaurant that I worked at in the past, I'm not going to name it, there's been several of them, but one of them that I worked at in the past, men would not pee into the urinal. There was pee all over the place. Always, constantly. It was awful.
Nasty.
Yeah. So we took a date dot sticker, one of the stickers that you put on like the top of your food containers and stuff, and then you write the date, the Best By date on it. We took a food sticker, like a dark blue one, and we put it on the inside of the urinal, kind of catty, like just in the urinal. And then the peeing everywhere stopped. They were all trying to hit the sticker. So the pee stayed in the urinal, and then eventually, I mean, the sticker would get washed away because they're water soluble, and we just add another one in the same spot again.
Oh my
So
god. Give them
yeah,
a job. Give them a task
yeah,
to complete.
give them a goal.
Maybe it would be funnier to a man, I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, I just think it was bizarre that pee came up so often. I mean, and not even just the phrase "I gotta pee." I mean, like just urine in general came up constantly through the book.
That's why I
And
think it's a guy thing.
yeah, it has to be.
They have some sort of obsession or fascination with urinating.
I should have asked Jason about this. He would have had a good answer. So, what did you think about Jenny's narrative?
Ooh, so the movie did her dirty. I totally
dirty.
prefer her arc in the book. In the book, she gets to be happy. She gets, when Forrest doesn't want to settle down, essentially, she's like, all right, bye. And she leaves and she goes to find somebody to settle down with. Don't fully agree with like her misleading him to believe that he fathered her child rather than Forrest fathering her child. But, in the book, she was like kind of like a hippie for a while. She maybe was like on the fringes of like political beliefs, but she wasn't like doing hard drugs with needles and whatnot. She wasn't she wasn't like a sex worker, which no shame in that. Sex work is work, but she just, in the movie they gave her a much harder life. In the book, she also, like, her mom didn't die. Her dad's not really mentioned in the book at all, but it's not mentioned that she's molested as a child.
Yeah, I mean, they tore her down from the very beginning.
Yeah.
The book didn't, not the book, oh my goodness. The movie didn't even give her a chance. They only really talked about like these giant lofty dreams that she had, and then her just trying to figure herself out. I didn't think she was allowed to be happy in the
Right.
movie.
I do
because
think
of the
that she
choice of-
was like a little bit happy in kind of one of the ending scenes that we see her in, like when Forrest comes and visits her at her apartment in Savannah, Georgia, and she answers the door. She looks really like healthy and happy there, and she's really happy to have Forrest Jr. is like, she gives off really good vibes there. I think she's feeling really great as a mother, like feeling like that's a good thing for her. So, but then it's like immediately shadowed by the fact that she's dying, which is sad.
And I even took her having Forrest Jr. and then having Forrest Sr. come meet him and everything. I kind of took that as she's finally accepting what she should have been doing all along, quote unquote. That she should have been trying to live with like these traditional values of having a baby and settling down with Forrest. And I feel like that was the only time that, she was allowed to be happy. But again, she still had to be punished for the decisions that she made earlier in regards to like second wave feminism and the drug use.
Right.
And being a little bit of a political radical. I felt like the movie was very pro-America and very anti women's liberation in that way.
Yeah, like she couldn't have a full life without being married to Forrest.
Yeah. felt very traditional wife, trad wife to me.
I feel like it's was maybe less intentional, right? Like I won't say totally unintentional, but I don't think that they were like, well, Jenny has to lead this life on the fringe and then come to her senses when she's dying that Forrest was the one for her. I guess what I'm saying is like she feels a lot happier. It doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
she asks Forrest to marry her, right? At the park right after their apartment scene or her apartment scene. Um, so I mean, she's asking him to marry her because he's already asked her once and she was like, "No, you don't want to marry me."
I mean, I don't want to downplay, marriage and settling down and all of that. Like if that's something that you truly want to do, you should do it. I mean, I got married. Uh I don't want to say that that's a bad thing, but it wasn't what she envisioned for her life.
When she was younger, true.
Yeah, when she
I don't
was
know.
younger.
I just feel like when Forrest came into the apartment, she was already happy. She was already feeling like settled, and that was
Yeah.
without him being her husband.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "I'm dying. Will you marry me?" Which is probably because like, hey, like I've got your kid,
Yeah.
in part, but also because I think she's always like loved him and like always wanted to be with him, but just not, not wanting to do the thing you should like you feel like you should do.
Mhm.
Not doing the thing you think you wanted or that you want to do because you feel like you have to do it or you should do it.
Out of obligation, you mean?
Not out of obligation, because I don't think she felt like she was obligated to marry him, but just like, I know we were meant for each other, but because of that, I want to run in every other direction or something like
Mhm.
that kind of thing. I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't think that they were intentionally trying to like do away with the second wave of feminism. I think it was like an unintentional consequence of how they rewrote her narrative.
I just hate how they rewrote her narrative. I hate it
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. So in the book, Jenny gets married to a nice man and leads him to believe that the baby, i.e., Forrest Gump Jr., is her husband's, not Forrest Gump in the book. And that's like not the best because, in the book, she and Forrest do get a scene together in Savannah, Georgia, like in a park. And that's where she's like, that's your kid. And his dad doesn't know that it's not his kid because after I left you, I realized I was pregnant and then I needed to find somebody real fast. And I don't know that she's really that happy in her
Mhm.
marriage. I think she's just like, I'm content with my decision. I made my decision. I'm content with it, you know?
Yeah.
But she's not like full of joy and, vigor.
Yeah.
Um,
We also
so
only see her for a few minutes.
right. In the
Yeah.
book it's not that long. Um
Yeah.
and then of course like you said a minute ago, like in the movie, even though she maybe finally like gets to marry Forrest and that feels really good and she maybe is really happy, she still has to face the consequences of her party
Mhm.
years. And so she dies of a virus in the movie, which people think is AIDS. Um, it's never named in the movie.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know if it's AIDS or hepatitis C or whatever it is.
In the second book, it's hepatitis C, which is bloodborne from like sharing needles and stuff.
All right, so tell me about Lieutenant Dan's narrative.
Lieutenant Dan is so different. Like he is a completely different character in the movie and the book. It's not even the same person. Because in the book, he's actually an intellectual. He's a history teacher. He reads a lot. He's very well spoken. He's not this. He's not this like almost comic book hero that
Like
he was in the movie.
he doesn't have a family history of dying in American wars.
He's a history teacher, and I don't know why he doesn't go back to teaching history. I think in the book it was just that he couldn't get into it was because his class was on the second floor and he couldn't get to the second floor.
Oh my
So he quit.
God.
Yeah, so he quit being a teacher. I mean, I believe that we don't really have the best disability like
Accessibility.
accessibility here, but good lord. So he quit being a teacher after the war and after he lost his legs. He didn't have a wheelchair either, which I thought was really weird. He basically like rolls around on a little scooter, like the kind that you would use to lay down on your back to go underneath cars to
Mhm.
work. He just scoots around on one of those, which is just absurd. And also, Forrest and Lieutenant Dan, they didn't meet until they got into the army hospital. So they weren't. Forrest didn't save his life or anything the way that he did in the movie either. So their relationship is a little bit different too. And Lieutenant Dan does come up, and they do become very close friends. But it's just not the same. He was missing his legs too in the book, but it wasn't treated as this great big deal. It wasn't as heartbreaking as it was in the movie. And I kind of wonder if that's because we're only in Forrest's brain, like seeing through his
Mhm.
eyes basically through the book. And he's not the most reliable narrator at times. So maybe Forrest just didn't notice. And one other just bizarre detail is they go to see Jenny at an apartment while she was working at a tire retreading company. And Lieutenant Dan's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta pee again. And so he goes into the bathroom, and Jenny's like, oh, well, does he need help? And Forrest is like, no, he doesn't need help. And then internally he thinks, yeah, all Dan does is he pees into his shoe and then he pours it into the toilet. First of all, why does Dan have shoes? He doesn't have legs.
Yeah.
Also, that's just another weird pee detail. Pee tail.
A P-tail. In the book, he doesn't get married either.
Yeah.
So
He's a very happy bum who lives under a trash bag, basically.
well, he's kind of crotchety until he realizes it's
Oh yeah.
Forrest every time Forrest stumbles upon him.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but he's not as like, I think he's actually more complex in the movie than he is in the
Oh,
book.
much more complex in the movie.
Yeah. But they don't have as much of a relationship until they get to the army hospital. So it's not like Forrest saved his life. So
Correct.
yeah, it was just kind of weird.
So what did you think about Forrest's narrative and how that changed?
Ooh, so
This is a big one.
it's a really big one. Forrest was a lot dumber in the movie. Like he in the book, he kind of like comes of age, becomes more capable, and then has great abilities. Like he's a savant for like mathematics. He's really great like at music. He has a brain like a computer is like something that people tell him, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
he understands whatever that like physics class is that they put him in because it's supposed to be
Intermediate light.
intermediate light. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
And he just gets it. Like he took a week or two with the textbook and then he understood it. So yeah, in the book he has really great abilities and actually like, you know, has the ability for growth and change. But in the movie he just has like really dumb luck, like really
Mm-hmm.
stupid good luck. He's of course like persistent and determined in the movie, but it all just comes down to the luck, like a hurricane destroying all of your competition shrimp boats and then your business takes off. I did like how in the movie though he did get to graduate college. In the book I was a little bummed that they were like, your grades are too bad to be in college, get out. But they had to leave a lot of that out for fairly obvious reasons because it gets pretty insane in the book, which we can get to after we talk about race in the movie, and especially Forrest, the character Forrest in the movie, getting credit where credit is not due. So you want to tell us a little bit about that, Em?
So whenever I first researched all of this, I read an article off of JSTOR from Jennifer Highland Wang that was published back in 2000. her entire thesis was just that Forrest Gump is a really racist and sexist movie, and it is. And just because something's problematic doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. But I think these are good things to know. For example, the movie shows him dancing with Elvis to Hound Dog. Uh, and then that's how Elvis learned his little hip shaking dance moves. When in reality, uh, those dances were taken from Black artists like Calvin Newborn and Bo Diddley. Elvis didn't invent them, and neither did a little kid. Um, the Black Panthers were being used just as a prop in the movie. And kind of being tied to Jenny like that, it made them seem even more negative. The Black Panthers were a really important group in the country. It helped to protect like Black neighborhoods and stuff. Like they were important, and they were just barely shown in a blip. And the one white guy that was like a part of them, or whoever, whatever he was supposed to be, was super violent. And I mean, that was my first like introduction to the Black Panthers. It wasn't really accurate at all. Like they did good. The movie also showed Forrest like helping Black students walk into the University of Alabama, and it just that gave me the ick because that didn't happen. The movie also took away the Watergate scandal, which it showed Forrest standing at his window in the Watergate hotel and saying, "Oh, hey, I think they're," and he's on the phone. And he says, "Hey, I think their power's not working. I see a bunch of flashlights over there." In reality, it was a Black security guard. His name was Frank Wills, and I think he died in like 2000 or 2001. But he was the one to call the cops. He was out doing his patrol on the back lot, and he noticed that there was a piece of duct tape over the lock, like the actual locking mechanism. I forget, it's like called the tongue, I think. The door was being held open with duct tape, and he noticed it, so he's like, "Oh, that's weird," and took the duct tape off and walked away. He came back a second time, and the duct tape was back, and he's like, "Okay, this is not good," and calls the cops. None of these are racial, but it's still giving him credit. In a roundabout way, gave the smiley face that you see everywhere, like at Walmart and on t-shirts, and just it's a smiley face. You picture it, and you're probably thinking of the right one. But he wiped his face off on this man's t-shirt, leaving a perfect smiley face. So giving credit to Forrest for that design, when in reality, the man's name was Harvey Bell, or Harvey Ball. He never applied for the trademark, and he only got $45 for the design. Whereas how in the movie, they made it seem like Forrest and his muddy face allowed this man to become a millionaire. Didn't happen. Kind of the same thing with Shit Happens. Back in 1983, this college professor, she would actually take down quotes from students through the years. She was doing like a linguistics study with her students, and they would write down different phrases and stuff. And one year, Shit Happens was on there, and it made it to her published list. And now everybody always says that the teacher wrote it, and she's like, "I didn't write it, it was a student," which I think is very silly. And then less of stealing things, but definitely just, I think they could have done more with it. Lots of people have actually walked or run all the way across the country. Extreme distance running and walking was not a new thing in the 80s whenever Forrest Gump did this. It's actually been around since like the 19th century, because we didn't have TV then. And I guess nobody liked to read books, so they'd watch people walk. Fascinating. In 2016, Robert Pope actually ran across the country along the exact same route that Forrest did in the movie, but it only took him 422 days, and he ran 15,700 miles.
Insane.
So, things we hated.
Oh my
What did you
God.
hate, Jenny?
Fucking hated this book. I hated the book so much.
You need to be more specific
I
than
need
that.
to be eloquent. So I hated the book. I hated the book so much because it's bad writing, and I have low tolerance for bad writing, unfortunately. I don't know what that's about, but honestly, I don't think I would have liked the book when I was like before I went to school for creative writing. So as a high schooler, I still don't think I would have liked the book. It's just not very narratively interesting. It's like, it's a monologue. I've said this already. I don't know what parts we're going to cut or not, but the book is a very, very long monologue, essentially. And that's just not fun to read. It doesn't give you any setting, any place. It doesn't give you like very good descriptions of people that you're interacting with. Like our narrator is unreliable, but not in an interesting way. He's not unreliable because he, has a tendency to lie or like whatever. He's just like unreliable because he's stupid, but he's not stupid. I mean, maybe he has lower IQ or whatever, but like he's not dumb. He figures shit out. He grows. He's capable of change. He's just very flat. He's a very flat character in the book. So yeah, I hated it. I hated it so much.
So
And
I think that you're
also, let's point out,
also.
the book was not successful until the movie came out. It only sold about 30,000 copies, which is like not a whole lot with books. I mean, that does feel like a lot having never written or published a book for me. But it was not a bestseller. People did not like it. It had really negative anonymous reviews. And I think people are also like, Winston Groom, you can do better. We know you can do better because you've published better. So yeah, it was not successful until the movie came out, and then it sold over 1 million copies.
I think your hatred clouded a few things, which is totally fair because this is not the best book that's ever been written. However, I was fine with the way that it was narrated. I was okay with it being in, first person and the monologue feeling. I was fine with all of that. I don't care. I'm on board. But I kind of like books that tend to have a different voice to them.
I like voicey. I love
Yeah.
voicey. But it was only voice. It needs to have voice and exposition. It has no exposition. Like, it's like, well, and then I went and did this, and then this XYZ thing happened, and so then I did this.
I mean, it really took the and therefore approach, which I found that to be interesting. It wasn't first I did this and then I did this and then I did this. That would have been truly boring. Instead, it was I did this, therefore this happened. Because that happened, then this happened. At least everything is very connected. It flowed well, even though it was bananas. I mean, like it's hard for me to explain. I don't think it was quite as bad as you're saying it was, but I don't think it was good.
It had no structure.
I mean, it did have structure. It had a beginning, middle, and end.
No, what's the middle?
The middle part is probably Papua New Guinea.
Maybe in like the number of pages, but that's not the midpoint of an arc.
It had a bunch of rise and fall, and I feel like his character and his character development kind of had a little bit of an arc, because the entire time, and it happens throughout the book, is him saying, I just tried to do the right thing. And that's all he's doing. He's just trying to do the right thing. And he does try. He doesn't do a very good job of it, but he does try. And I think that's his arc, is him trying to do the right thing, and he keeps falling short.
But he never figures it out. He never does the right thing.
I don't know. I think him leaving his company in charge of other people and going and just being a person was pretty good.
Yeah, that's not like doing a thing. It's not presented as like a resolution or anything like that, though. It's another, well, this happened, so then they suggested I leave, so then I did. And so then I went and did this thing, and then pretty soon people started putting coins in my cup because I was playing the harmonica, and then I had enough money to get me a keyboard, and then I had like it
did feel very rambling. Is it the rambling part that maybe bothered you more?
It's not a story.
It's very, very fast pace.
It's not the pace. It's not pace thing, because it's not fast paced. I think it's really slow, actually. Like it's slow because it's boring. Like, and it's boring because we don't know. Everyone else is just like a caricature of a person in his life. Like, we don't really get to know them because
Yeah.
Forrest is like a self-obsessed narrator, because it's a monologue, because he has a captive audience on a bus bench telling his story. That's
I mean,
the
I kind
equivalent.
of, you said like, I don't remember what you said exactly that triggered this, but it's almost like you said the characters are flat. 100%. I don't think he understands emotion, because Mama in the book is just weepy and she cries all the time and she's sad. She's sad woman. That's her character, is sad woman. And Jenny is freaking disappointed and annoyed. So that's her character. She's disappointed and annoyed.
Right.
And then Lieutenant Dan, I think, might be the most complex character in the whole book.
And he's not
Honestly.
complex. He's just
And he's not
like
that complex.
an unhoused veteran dude
Mm-hmm.
who's like a little bit goofy sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's not, nobody is like fully formed. Not even Forrest. Not even Forrest is fully formed, because it's like things are just happening to him.
Yeah.
And it's not until like the end, when he goes to find his mama when she's working at the like pants pressing shop, dry cleaning store or whatever, that he's like, I got a plan. And she's like, how you got a plan when you an idiot, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, just trust me, I got a plan. So it's like, I don't know. I guess the arc is he finally got to the shrimping business. He finally got enough money to be able to go do the shrimping stuff. And then that ended up being the right thing. But it's still like, that's the only thing that he did with like intention. And all the other stuff is like interrupting
No,
that.
truly, yes. And I do want to compare the shrimp business in the book versus the shrimp business in the movie, because they're two completely different business plans.
Yeah.
Like one takes work and knowledge that he gained from his time in Vietnam, and the other one was just dumb luck, and Dan
Right.
was on the boat with him.
Right.
That's it. I think that alone, if we took out a lot of the other crazy shit that happened, if this had just been a book about some guy who's not very smart building a shrimp business, it probably would have been better.
100%.
I think all of the chaos in the book that happened really clouded everything else, because yeah, there wasn't as much character development as we would like to have.
There was no character development.
There was like,
they were completely, they're not even thawed. They're still frozen characters. If we want to do like a
I still felt
analogy.
like the tiniest bit. I think at the end of the book, he kind of like, there's a level of acceptance there that he's not gonna be happy. He's not gonna, I mean, there's some kind
he's
of,
not going to be fully fulfilled because Jenny Current is already happy in another marriage.
It's better than him.
And that's the way he can be fulfilled. Like he's done Bubba's memory, honor or whatever by doing the shrimping business. But
yeah, I feel like a whole bunch of these threads need to be taken away. If it was just about music and shrimp business, I think it would have been a whole lot better.
And Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, you have to have Vietnam in order to have shrimp business.
Yeah, maybe that's the issue, is everything else is so outrageous that
the wrestling,
we're not left to, there's no space to be left to wonder about like the quirkiness of life, I guess, which maybe a picaresque novel is supposed to get at, the quirkiness of life, of just like, I ended up here, I never meant to, but somehow I ended up here, and that's just quirky and beautiful, and let me just wonder at that. The novel doesn't give a space for that because I think because of partially the form. I mean, yeah, first person, great, but it's almost like first person limited because Forrest doesn't have a lot of thoughts. That's terrible hell to say, but he doesn't.
I mean, he does have a lot of thoughts. The entire book is his thoughts. They're just not very deep thoughts.
Well, and the whole point of having like first person close, is like a monologue format. You'd think that we would get to see inside his head more, and we just don't. It's first person limited, even though it's written as a monologue. This book took me on a really not fun wild ride, and I was like, fuck you, book.
It was a wild ride, though. Are you so happy that I recommended this book?
No, I'm not. But
it's one of those
it.
things where, like, whenever like I was in high school and people would be like, hey, I just saw this really disturbing thing on the internet, and now I have to share it with my friend so that way they can also be disturbed, and just carry that with them too, because there's some things that you cannot unsee, and I've seen them.
Yeah.
And this is a book that you can't unread.
Right.
No hate to Winston Groom, because this did turn into like a big cultural phenomenon. Like that movie is one of the biggest movies of our lifetime.
All the hate to Winston Groom. Why did you do this to me?
He's dead. You can't hate the dead, can you?
Yes, you can, but we shouldn't. I don't know the man personally. He didn't mean to cause me so much strife over the last week. I do like the voiciness. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I hate that it's like so I just opened up to a random page, right? Page 114.
Yeah.
I don't know what chapter we're in.
I think we have the same book. Hold on.
Chapter 13.
Wait, what page?
114.
Okay.
So we get this. I'm gonna read the first part of the last paragraph.
Okay.
Around and around the earth we go. Day and night go by every hour or so, and it sort of put a different perspective on things. I mean, here I am doing this, and when I get back, or should I say if I get back, what then? Like, it's not around and around, it's around and around the earth we go. I can't fucking stand that.
But it's also, and this is something that I was thinking, but it's still perspective, which has more than 2 syllables. And furthermore, which is more than 2 syllables. He's able to, like, he writes, like...
It's not the number of syllables. It's that we can't have the D on around. We can't have the D on and.
I think part of that is, like, his accent.
No. This is what I mean by bad, cheap writing. You get at an accent by the syntax, by the structure of how sentences are put together. That's how you get the accent. You can still write out the full goddamn words.
You know what I am so excited for you to read?
No.
I'm so excited. I'm going to make it happen probably next season. I have to, because it is one of my favorite books. I am so excited for you to read Flowers for Algernon. If you think you hate this writing, oh baby, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I hate it. Like
you're gonna burst a blood vessel in your eye over it. You're gonna hate it.
Aneurysm. I mean,
it's
just like
gonna hate it.
anything. The word anything, or the word nothing, or the word being, or doing, or seeing, or crying. There's no G.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're not allowed to have the G. Something. Nope. And it's like at the top of it, we've got, now listen here, she say, we has got to do something about this ape. We don't get the A on about. We don't get the G on something. I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. Fucking book. Okay, I'm done hating on it. Sorry I hate it so much. I don't hate you for recommending it. I'm glad I get to talk about it, because normally I'm just like very pleasant and I'm a yes person.
Yeah.
And now I get to be a fucking no person, which is fun.
I'm so excited.
So let's talk about your thing. We're not doing Flowers of Algernon next
Oh,
season.
yes, we are.
I can't
Yes,
handle
we
it.
are.
I can't
It
handle
is so
it.
good. It's a short book. It's really, it's a short book and it is so good.
It'll
Oh
be
my God,
so
it's the
long,
best.
though.
You're going to hate it. I love it. It's so good. Oh my God, it's amazing. And the movie is, oh my goodness, it is lovely. Oh, and it's problematic too, but for different reasons. I am so excited. This book was problematic as hell. The movie is problematic as hell. I'll talk about, anyway, I hated the soundtrack. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
hate this.
Now we
Pretty
need to get
much-
into what you hate. I don't mind the soundtrack.
I
it's
hate the
pleasant.
soundtrack. It is saccharine. It is sicky sweet and cheesy. It smells like old Parmesan. It's gross. I hate it. If I talked to Mike C from MSU about this, he would agree with me. It's just, it's trying to force you
Mike
into.
Janeski?
Yeah, we talked about this kind of thing. Like in really these really like sweet sappy movies like A Dog's Purpose and just that kind of crap where they make the music swell and lovely and piano and flutes and whatever, and just I hate it. I hated it so much. Watching him get chased down his driveway by the boys in the truck and the music is playing and it's like, oh, it's really, oh, this music says that he's running, and it's like, that's great. I think it would have been a lot more impactful had there been no music. If it had just been the sound of his feet beating the dirt and then the old truck behind him, that would have been such a cool scene, I think. But instead, it was like the soundtrack to Toy Story playing in the background, and I hated it. I hated it. It turned every single moment that could have been so powerful into just cheesy, sicky sweet crap. I hated it.
The soundtrack didn't bother me. I thought it was lovely.
I get a visceral reaction to it.
Interesting.
Let's talk about what didn't make the cut.
You had feelings about the soundtrack in the movie.
Yeah.
But you're also like a music-y person.
Yeah.
I.e. a musician.
I wouldn't go that far anymore.
Okay, well, you have a musician's history. So tell me a little bit about how music went down in the book versus what didn't make it in the movie.
So music was a really big thing in the book. I mean, they used the word savant, and he had like near magical abilities with math and all this stuff, but music was one of them. And Bubba actually in the book was the one that showed him the harmonica and kind of how to play, but Forrest picked it up immediately. It was one of those things where he just understood it. He didn't even have to think about it. He could just do it.
And they actually met in college in the book too.
They met in college, and then they just so happened to run into each other in Vietnam.
And they weren't even in the same company, but Bubba asked to get transferred because a lot of Forrest's company were killed.
I thought it was Bubba's company because Forrest's company came in to relieve them, but there wasn't anybody left.
I think Bubba transitioned to Forrest's company though.
Yeah, that's what happened because all of Bubba's company.
Oh,
there weren't that many of them left.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, music was a really big part of the book, especially as for Jenny specifically, like her character, she had a pretty successful band going. The movie didn't even allow her that. They let her play guitar during like an all nude show
in a thong,
like at a topless bar in a thong, in a clear thong.
But her band was the Cracked Eggs.
Yeah, the Cracked Eggs. They had a record deal. Like they were going to make money. It was going to be a big thing. And Forrest shit the bed or pissed the bed, whichever. He would not stop smoking marijuana. Like he was the one with the closer. I mean, I don't know if does weed count as a drug?
I think it did in the 90s, and then I think that part of the book probably is in the 70s, maybe. I don't fucking know.
For the sake of this episode, we're gonna call it a drug. So Forrest had a drug problem. he was just smoking marijuana all the time, constantly. And Jenny was even like, dude, you are overdoing it. You need to calm down. And he was just like, I don't want to. I'm Forrest Gump. And he ends up cheating on her with 2 women, like in an alley. And
He didn't, I mean, he didn't seek that out.
yeah,
And, you know, I think I'm not defending him necessarily because he did cross a line and it wasn't cool. But also, you know, I don't know. I think like with how deep their relationship should have been, not that the book told us it was this deep in any way, but based on how much they'd been together, I guess.
yeah.
You'd think that would have been like a, whoa, what's going on here? It needs to stop immediately. And I'm mad at you, but we're going to talk through it and figure our shit out because this is unlike you. You're obsessed with me.
mean,
you wouldn't normally cheat on me. And he was just like really, really stoned. And then 2 ladies are like, oh my God, are you like the harmonica guy for the cracked eggs? And he's like, uh-huh. And they're like, feel our tits or whatever. Like, here, you know, it's not like he was like, I'm gonna cheat on Jenny. It wasn't that. Like, he was just really stoned. And then these ladies came up and were like, oh my God, somebody famous.
So I think, and this is just me, he'd already screwed up in the past, not with cheating, but he had already been like a complete dumbass around and to her before. This was her really giving him a big chance. She was letting him in on her success in her band. She let him in there, and then he smoked a ton of weed, and she even told him, you need to stop smoking so much weed. You need to stop this. She was the voice of reason, and he ignored it and then got into trouble. I would have broken up with him too because I already told him to stop, and he didn't stop.
I think for me, it would have been the second to last straw, right? It would have been like, okay, I understand you were super high. You didn't understand fully what was happening until it was happening. And then it was like too late. And then I walked in. Like there wasn't enough time for you to like react. But you crossed a line. You're on thin ice. You need to stop smoking weed. And if you refuse to stop, then we're done. Like, I think that's how I would have. I don't know.
You're more forgiving than me. I digress. Music is a really, really big component in the book. That's the thing that saves him from, I don't even want to say the words because I feel like this book had a lot of racist elements to it. Whenever he was in Papua New Guinea, music is what kind of saved him. Like chess was for a while, of all things, and then music saved him.
Yeah.
And then that's how he ends the book, too, is also that he gives up Bubba Gump Shrimp Co. He just becomes like a traveling music man, like a busker. Like he just goes and plays harmonica everywhere.
And that's just like
it.
What brings him happiness. Yeah.
Brings him something.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see Tom Hanks play the accordion. Not the accordion. Jesus Christ. Well, that would be good too. But the harmonica.
Something we haven't talked about yet, we've talked around a few times, is in the novel, Forrest Gump goes to fucking outer space. Tell us about that.
So this is like one of my favorite parts of that freaking book because it's just so ridiculous. And I don't like it though also because there's so much pee. Pee is a very central, it's an important piece of this whole like narrative. Like without pee, things probably would have just gone like normal and he would have been able to actually do math, which we never see him do in space. He never does math once in space. I think he only ever does math in, I don't know.
He was also like the third backup. He was only on there if like the backup computer, like they had the computer, the backup computer, and then him. So, and by the time they maybe needed him to step in and do the math calculations, they were hurtling back to Earth. So he's like, I'm a little busy dying here. So no.
So listen, I think him going to space and being an astronaut isn't even the craziest part of it.
Really?
I think even weirder still, because you remember why he was going to space, right? It's because he took his Medal of Honor and he threw it at like the Secretary of State. And so
just
he got
threw
charged.
it and it accidentally hit the secretary. He wasn't aiming for him.
I know, but still it hit them. So he was facing like he got arrested, and they said, okay, here's the deal, you math jockey. You can either go to prison for 10 years, or, because this makes perfect sense, or you can go to NASA instead. Do you want to be an astronaut, be a little space boy, or you want to go to prison like a bad boy? And he was like, oh, I'll do space boy. That makes no sense. There's like this whole thing where, like, if your child is being an asshole, then you send them to the military or to military school, right? That's a punishment. I don't think becoming an astronaut and going to space is a punishment.
I think it is.
For yeah, you do, but for the average person who's not terrified of space, I think that's not an effective punishment for assaulting the Secretary of State, even if it's by accident.
I'll be perfectly clear here. I would 1000% take 10 years of prison over going to outer space.
I think it just depends on who's sending me to space. But I'd probably pick space, just with the knowledge that I'm going to puke the entire time because I have really bad motion sickness. Anyway, Forrest does not do any math in space at all, not once. He does pee in a jar, and he tells us all about it and how that worked. And then he also talks about the orangutan that they also have in space for some reason. And also, that's the other thing that doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're going to send a monkey into space, fine, send a monkey or an ape into space. I'm okay with that. It was the Major Fritch, which I think that Winston Groom maybe didn't like women and wanted to call her Major Bitch. So he was like, that's too on the nose. What rhymes with bitch? It's Fritch. So Major Fritch and a nice friendly female orangutan named Sue and Forrest get onto the rocket, and then something goes wrong, so they all have to get off of the rocket, and then somehow the geniuses that work at NASA and know exactly what they're doing, they know how to send human beings in a tube into space. They somehow mixed up the orangutans. So instead of sending the friendly female Sue up into space with them, they sent up mean man Sue, like a male orangutan who they just named Sue because that's the only name available to orangutans, I guess. I don't know why they couldn't have named him like Dave.
When they were like, hey, you sent the wrong monkey, they were like, well, make it the right one. As far as you're concerned, that's Sue. And they're like, that's not who Sue is. And they're like, well, it is now. So that's how we don't know his real name.
NASA was really just washing their hands of the whole situation.
You think you want the right monkey for it. I'll just say, like, the scene of them like re-entering Earth is like precisely why I'm not interested in ever going to outer space, like of just hurtling back to the Earth and like having no control and like, am I going to burn up into a fine dust? I don't know.
So I think as far as hurtling back down to the earth goes, as long as you don't have a big angry male orangutan in there tossing jars of pee, I think you'll be okay for the most
Sue's
part.
the one who saved them. Sue's the one who pulled the like parachute lever or whatever that kept them from scratching.
But only after they had a little like pee parade, because he grabbed.
I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit about a monkey throwing his pee at me. It's fine.
So Forrest thought that he could get the pee, like the orangutan who was being an asshole, not listening to them. He was like, oh yeah, I can just grab this monkey's penis and put it in a jar, and then he'll pee there and it'll be good, because my name is Forrest Gump and I'm obsessed with piss. and that doesn't happen. Instead, Sue the orangutan pees and it hits Major Fritch in the face, and then other pee gets all over like their like equipment. I just don't understand what the purpose of the space exploration was. I mean, I know that they were like just trying to figure out what body type would be best as far as like a space mission would go. So they picked the tallest motherfucker that they could find. Anyway, they go to space. They learn nothing. They play with pee, and then they crash land in New Guinea. Do you want to talk about New Guinea, or shall I talk about New Guinea?
Well, just they crash landed in New Guinea, and they're found by a cannibal tribe. I don't know that we ever learn what the tribe is, who the tribe is.
And it's super freaking racist.
Yeah, talk more about that.
So the particular like tribe that Winston Groom decided to make a character out of, they do I don't know if they still do now, but in the past they have practiced ritual cannibalism. But this was only with people who died already. They weren't killing people with the express intent of eating them. So, like, if I were a member of that tribe and, like, my mother or father passed, then because I loved them and they were part of my family, part of the ritual is to eat them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to use their body to nourish myself and my soul. And it was seen as a way of the family members like ingesting the evil spirit that just so happens to inhabit the body, thereby releasing it. Everything is beautiful and good after that, right? And that's not what he did in the book. In the book, he had like the leader of the tribe was a Yale educated man who spoke in a very posh accent per the audiobook, which was really weird. And he just so happened to also be like a chess grandmaster or whatever and taught Forrest how to play chess. And it was just really bizarre and out of pocket. If this like whole part of the book didn't exist, I think I would like it a whole lot better.
Well, and that's goes back to my point of hating the book of like everyone is a caricature, right? It's so offensive because there's nothing that we like learn that's genuine about this tribe. Like we don't even know what the tribe is.
As Forrest is leaving this caricature island, and Major Fritch decides to stay behind because she did fall in love with one of the men in the tribe. And that's, if he treated her great and they just want to have a happy family, that's awesome. I love it for them.
I actually like that part where she's like,
I did like that
screw
part.
this.
She's like,
I found a man who loves me and gets me and I want him. So I'm staying. Great. You stay, girl. You do that.
that's a plot point everybody can agree with. It was always my dream to live in the jungle. I love trees. Really, it was. I was like, why can't Tarzan be real? And why can't Tarzan be me? Sue does stay behind too. Because Sue and Forrest can like speak telepathically or something. I don't even think that the way that they described
They
their
can
language in the
communicate.
book, yeah, the way that they described the language that they were using together in the book made just about as much sense as what I just said. So we're just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
They figured out a way to communicate,
Right.
which is admirable,
Right.
but weird because it comes up again.
So yeah, some other stuff that didn't make sense to have in the movie because the NASA part and going to outer space was cut. So in New Guinea, Forrest Gump learns chess from this guy named Sam and like a leader of the New Guinea tribe. And then like his savantness takes over and he becomes amazing at chess. And just like whoops Sam every time. And Sam's like, nah, when I will not beat you, like when I can beat you, you're dead, basically. Like, I'm not going to kill you until then.
Which he didn't even say that out loud. Like,
that was just like the
Forrest,
gist.
Yeah, but Forrest was able to figure that out with
Right.
zero information, which seems like what a smart person would be able to do. But he can't figure out anything else going on in the world.
In the book later, Forrest like stumbles upon like a chess tournament and then like plays like a retired chess master guy who like then later sponsors him and is like, you should play chess and we'll split the earnings 50-50.
The way that he wins the chess match, do you remember that?
Oh, he does the Papua New Guinea. He does the New Guinea.
Nope, not even that.
What's it called?
Nope. He had names for things. I'm not talking about a chess move. Do you remember what he did that helped him to win?
Was he like, I gotta pee?
No, he farted.
Oh, right. Right. He farted and that ruined his opponent's concentration or whatever.
Yeah, he described it as he ripped a baked bean fart so loud it sounded like a sheet being torn in half or something. So he farted and that's how he won. And none of the chess nerds could really come up with a good enough excuse for why he shouldn't get money.
Right.
So he did. That's stupid.
Forrest Gump also plays, like, he also has a brief stint as a professional wrestler. And his character is the dunce. And he wears, like, a dunce hat and, like, a diaper, which is really...
stupid.
It's stupid, but also, like, insulting. I didn't like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, ew. And all of this is, like, sequential, right? Because he didn't throw the medal, and didn't go to jail, and then wasn't given the option to go to prison or space, and then, you know, didn't go to outer space, and then didn't crash land in New Guinea, and then didn't get rescued, and then didn't go to Indiana or whatever to find Jenny,
Mhm.
and luck into, or just happen chance become a professional wrestler, and then
Mhm.
like it's all connected. So they just like
Mhm.
cut all of that out of the movie, which I think is good, smart.
That's totally fine. I did not need to see Tom Hanks in a diaper.
Right. And also there was like in the book there was a brief cameo where he's an actor, where Forrest Gump is asked to come onto a set because he'd be perfect for this role, and the role is a like creepy lake monster.
He's the creature from the Black Lagoon. I used to
Right.
play that ping ball game at Pizza Hut.
Right. So, and his job is just to like come out of the water and scoop Raquel Welch up and take her off into some woods. And it's dumb.
And then because this reads like a men's magazine, Raquel Welch is completely nude. During most of her time in this book, she is nude.
So that thing happens while he's supposed to be at a chess tournament. But it all happens while he's on like a break from the chess tournament. Like I don't know if it's just like they're done for the day and then they'll resume the next day or what. So it's just a hot mess. And then finally, after he wins, he goes back to the chess tournament. He wins. That's when he gets the money, and he's like, I'm finally gonna do the shrimp thing. So then he goes and does the shrimp thing. So it's like we cut everything out from kind of like his Medal of Honor. What is it called that he gets?
I don't remember which medal he actually got in the book, because I know that in the movie it's the Congressional Medal of Honor.
I think that's what it was
but
in
I
the book
wasn't
too.
sure. I think that's what he did get. I thought he would get like a Purple Heart too.
I feel like essentially we cut everything from that point to the shrimping business. Like everything in the book that happens between those two things is cut. But in the movie, we go from Congressional Medal of Honor, and like he gives it to Jenny, and then she like leaves and goes to Berkeley, back to Berkeley with that. And then it's like he's like, all right. Well, he plays ping pong after that, so it's a tiny bit out of order. He plays ping pong, and then as soon as he's discharged from the army, he goes home. Whereas
Which he just doesn't want to go home in the book, it seems. Well, he doesn't go back home till almost the end.
In the novel, he's like, I should really go home, but I gotta find Jenny. You know, like that's how it is every single time. And then it's like his dumb ass either does something that keeps him from finding Jenny, or he does find Jenny and he fucks it up. So yeah, it's like as soon as he's discharged in the movie, he goes straight home, and the home doesn't catch on fire. His mom isn't in the pole house. His mom doesn't run off with the Protestant or whatever. Like,
I know that was all very, very weird. I'm like, okay, is he Catholic? I'm like, why is he suddenly Catholic? I didn't think he was Catholic the whole time. I didn't like Mama's character in the book either, but again, because she was just so one-dimensional. Like she had she just was crying the whole time.
She also, and I didn't realize this like at the beginning of the book, but at the end of the book, when he finally does go home and he goes back to Mama and he's like, don't worry, I got a plan. And she's like, you've got a plan? How could you have a plan when you're a certifiable idiot or whatever? And it's like, oh, she's part of the problem of why he thinks he's so dumb, is because she tells him he's so dumb all the time. And like she doesn't do it in like a mean way necessarily. She's not like, oh, you're a dumbass. She's just like, oh, how on earth could you be capable of that? Because you're a certifiable idiot. Like,
I know, it's like she's just very matter of fact about it. She's like, this is just how it is.
You're too stupid to think of any kind of plan.
This is your limitation.
Right.
And it's the shrimp business is one of my biggest complaints about the movie specifically. Other than the way that they treated Jenny and all of that, the shrimp business is something that he genuinely built and put together in the book. He learned how to farm them in Vietnam. That was something that
Yeah.
he, as a person, found a way to be capable of doing. Whereas how in the movie, it is basically handed to him
Right.
on a silver platter because all of the people around him lost everything.
Yep.
And he lucked out and was able to pick it all up behind them. In the book, he does run for Senate, and that just goes south.
Right. Yeah. They learn about his checkered past.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, they had different standards back then.
Like nobody did a background check to see that he was facing like a felony charge. Nobody looked into that. Okay. But honestly, looking at like things right now, that makes sense. That tracks.
Totally
So-
tracks. We wouldn't care about that so much now. We'd be like, yeah, this
No.
man's gotta pee. Put him in office. Okay. You want to talk about the sequel?
I will talk about the sequel. So there's a second book, and I don't think I'm going to read it.
I'm not. I guarantee you I'm not. You couldn't pay me enough money to read it.
Don't worry, because it's not going to happen, at least not for this podcast. So there was a sequel. There were 2 Forrest Gump books total. In the first book, the one that we're discussing today, Jenny does not die at the end. She is married and she leaves and she's got her life figured out. She's gold right now. It might not be the glamorous life that she expected, but she's living it and it's good. In the sequel, that's when Jenny dies, and she dies of hepatitis C. Like, it's confirmed in the book that it's hepatitis C. However, there was a script written for the second movie, a sequel to Forrest Gump, and they were going to have Forrest Jr., Jenny and Forrest's son, deal with AIDS and the AIDS crisis.
Oh my God.
So, and the article that I read on it was really going to introduce a whole bunch of things, such as Forrest Gump being in the white Ford Bronco with O.J. Simpson as he was fleeing the police. And I believe he was going to be at a bombing in Oklahoma, and just a whole bunch of like really dark things. This is going to be a very dark movie. And the script actually got turned in to the studio, I believe, on September 10th, 2001. And then the next day, September 11th happened, and it really put a lot of things in perspective. And they decided not to make the movie.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. I was happy to rewatch the movie. I'm a little disappointed I'll never get the hours I spent reading the book back in my life, but it's fine. There's a first time for everything and a last. So, are you a book nerd or a movie buff?
Okay, so I don't think I'm ever going to feel the need to read the book again, because this was like the second or third time, because I have written a paper on it before. I don't think I'll ever read it again, so I'm not a book nerd. But also, if it ever comes on TV, I won't necessarily turn it off, but I don't think I'm ever going to have an afternoon where I'm like, I really need to watch Forrest Gump again. I don't think that's going to happen. So I abstain.
You're not going to be either one?
No,
Oh,
I can't,
shit.
because I know. But if I had, okay, so if both of them were dangling off of a cliff and I could only save one, I would probably save the movie.
Okay.
But I wouldn't talk to him anymore after that.
Okay. All right. I was like, you have to pick one. Come on. Can't abstain.
Well, I kind of did.
Okay. Well,
I begrudgingly picked the movie.
I'm totally a buff. I am unapologetically a movie buff on this one. I fucking hate the book. We covered that at length already. I would throw the book off a cliff.
Even though he died in 2020, but I'm always afraid of hurting anybody's feelings.
I'm sorry, Winston Groom.
Thank you for listening to Book Club,
The movie, the podcast. Watch for new episodes out the third Thursday of each month.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Book Club the Movie. You can also find us on Patreon, Facebook, or on our website, bookclubthemovie.com.
This podcast was created and produced by Jen Moyer and M. Lord. Our music and mixing is by Jason Lord of Studio Topaz.
Voice acted by Ethan Gallardo.
And we just want to give a big thank you to our friends and family for your love and support.
And thank you, dear listener, for joining our book club.
See you next time, nerds.
And buffs.
Bye.
Can't see the appeal. No.
Okay. All right. Well,
That's an answer.
Didn't say it was going to be helpful. You didn't give me forewarning, but no, I don't understand myself.
hey, that's fine. We just needed the male opinion, I guess. Well,
Very good.
thanks for your help.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Enjoy your movie on AIDS.
So Adam says, no, I don't know what you're talking about. That's weird. I asked Jason, I said, are all men obsessed with peeing on stuff? The book has so much pee in it. And Jason responded with, it's actually the opposite. I believe men hate peeing. We love pooping, though.
All right. Well, interesting.
There you have it.